No matter the opponent, Florida State shows that it is ready to play football, coming out and dominating East Texas A&M. This is how Florida State football should be.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk some Noles with me, especially with Florida State rolling like they are. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Today's show is going to have a lot of fun because we get to talk about all kinds of interesting things that I really didn't get a chance to talk about last year. And as fans, I know you like it. One of the biggest pet peeves I have, looking at things through a statistical point of view, third downs. How do you approach them? How did you set yourself up for those third downs? Does everything work together? Now, this is going to be a microcosm of the entire show, but at the end, when we talk about third downs, the reason they were so successful are going to be the first couple of areas that I talk about. But Florida State on third down was just lights out, and that is a lot of fun to talk about. We're also going to talk about that really important drive. This is going to sound crazy, but when Kevin Sperry came into the game and they went up 49-0, that drive is a microcosm of what the program has begun to show itself to be in such a short time. They set up everything for that final play where Kevin threw his first passing touchdown as a Nole, ironically, to another freshman, Javon Boggs out of Cocoa High School in the state of Florida. That drive shows you that it's not just the starters that are ready to play for the Noles. They've got this team mentally focused all the way through the roster. That is a sign of long-term success. And we're going to start off with the culture change to get it there and then talk about the way the Florida State ran the ball. That's a big part of their culture. We're going to be more of an offensive theme today, and that's right now. So if you take nothing else from this show, note that Florida State's culture, doing all the little things right, blocking, being the guy, even if you're on the backside and you're the receiver, you have to do it right or you come out, is very important. If you're listening to this podcast, that's fine. But if you want to really get an idea of it, there's a little thumbnail like on the Apple page, etc. But go to the YouTube page for Locked On Seminoles. You get a bigger picture. It shows Norvell like getting in Earl Little's face in between plays, like he's yelling. I don't know what it was, and maybe it's just sometimes Mike gets amped up, and maybe the photo's a little out of context. But it was in the second half. The photos are from the second half. Every moment is being used as a teaching moment, and Earl played well. He was actually, before I found the photo to use for the YouTube thumbnail, before I even found it, he was one of a handful of guys that I'd written down in my notes just because of my just watching the game live. He was coming downhill and making plays, being physical. Again, physical dominance. I want to say that about 100 times during this pod, and it's legit, both sides of the ball. But it also shows that culture change. Last year, and again, I don't know what Earl did or didn't do, there probably wouldn't have been the same accountability. I think that's a safe bet. There's a completely different accountability this year. Hussey's not on the team. There are other guys during the offseason. They let go. They're like, yeah, see you later. You want more money? Goodbye. They cut bait with talented players to improve their culture. And it's helped the physicality. It's helped the belief in the overall football program in Tallahassee. Period. Florida State looks different from a mentality standpoint. And now to that, this is just fun. I'm going to put it up on the screen here, and we can kind of dive into it from a lot of different points of view. But I had the stats up yesterday on the post-game show, but they're so much fun. I'm not going to cut you off in case you didn't see it or in case you don't know about it, whatever. Florida State's run game, like, it was ironic how they did it and how they stayed with, again, culture. 5 out of their first 10 runs were less than 5 yards. Less than 5 yards against East Texas A&M. So first off, credit to East Texas A&M. They didn't just get rolled over on the first drive like 3 plays or something. Florida State had to earn it. But then as they kept going on and going on and going on, here's the drive that it really mattered though. Like you got to like 21-0, then you got to 28-0, and Florida State had run the ball so much in the middle, and a little off tackle here or there, but so much in the middle. The linebackers and safeties for East Texas A&M, and this just a microcosm of any team they're going to play, they're sucked in. Gus talked about this in his opening press conference. So the first play on that next drive, they're up 28-0, and they're still just razor sharp focus. 14 yards, an inside run for like 1. Oh, here comes that same action again. But here comes Makai Danzy around the end for a touchdown. Of course, 53 yards. By the way, that's still, I mentioned this yesterday. They had 3 different plays of 53 yards yesterday. That's wild. Danzy gets the 53-yard touchdown. Every play has a purpose. Every play. It's refreshing. I don't think there's a team in college football that wouldn't want to be where Florida State's at right now in terms of just focus. Why that is, I don't know, because I'm not in the meetings, but whatever the players and the coaches are convening about, it's trending in the right direction. Florida State has absolutely hit a home run in fixing the culture, because by the time they got to this, they were at 20. Now, they're playing a bunch of reserves already. In the way they executed and the physicality of it downhill was still the same. So Danzy goes for the touchdown. They go up and they just squashing them. And I'll go into another drive here in a minute with Sperry, but here are the stats just running the ball. And it's a couple of the guys I didn't even know they existed. Like Samuel Singleton had a long run, a 53-yard run for a touchdown. He had 4 carries for 82 yards. Zay Parks, a walk-on, 10 carries, 61 yards. Makai Danzy, the 1 run, 53 yards. Usman Kroma, 5 carries for 37 yards. Gavin Sawchuk, 8 carries for 35 yards. Jeremiah Johnson, 5 carries, 25 yards. I don't even know who that is. Jalen Lucas, 4 carries for 23 yards. Kevin Sperry, 3 carries, 22 yards. Cam Davis, 2 for 13. Brock Glenn, 1 for 10. Tommy only had 4 for 7. Keziah, 3 for 2. And then Michael Grant, he had 1 play. He got sacked or whatever, lost 9 yards. Florida State ran for 361 yards. But again, they were patient. 5 out of their first 10 runs. They were using physical, playing between the tackles. East Texas came down to the box. They played pretty good. FSU missed on a couple of blocks, but they stuck with it. This is our culture. This is what we do. This is our style of play. We didn't see that last year at FSU. It was too much grab bag. This year, Gus, and that give the entire staff credit because the defense helps with this too in practice, but they stick with what they know. This is what we're going to do. And when you get sucked in, we're going to hit a screen. We're going to go play action up top to Deuce. Obviously, he had an incredible game. But they do all these things, and they're all connected. When was the time last year when you said to yourself after watching a Florida State game, hey, the Noles look connected. The Noles look like they are ready. They are absolutely going to use this play to set up this one, et cetera, et cetera. There might have been a few, but for the most part, it was grab bag. They didn't know what they could do because they couldn't do much of anything. This year, it's begun with physicality, and that culture has manifested to the defense too. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. I'm going to do another show, but the defense helps in practice, and then the offense here, man, they just punched them in the mouth. They didn't worry about it if they only got 1 or 2 yards. They stuck with what they know, and they believe in each other. I can just tell you as an analyst, this is fun to cover. This is really fun to cover. I haven't had that opportunity in a long time, and I'm not really sure what it's like anymore for somebody that, in my industry, if you haven't been around a team that it's really dominant for any stretch, it's hard to explain, but like, this is what it looks like. This looks like a playoff kind of team. Now I need to see several more games to anoint them that, but as I said yesterday, I think this is a team that is trending towards being top 10 minimum. Top 10 minimum. And when we come back, I'm going to prove that again because we're going to go through play by play how they do that with their physicality and their culture combined. That is next here on Locked On Seminoles. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and see parts on your doorstep as early as tomorrow. With over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Real-time inventory, honest lead times, they both keep you from punting projects while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. So if you need something right away, if you've got a dire need, SupplyHouse can get it to you the next day. One-day shipping is a big deal. Make sure you check it out on SupplyHouse. Join the free TradeMaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. College football is back, and boy, Florida State is too. I can't be more excited about it, and I hope you are as well. Tailgates, the rivalries, and the energy in the stands, there's nothing quite like it. But to be honest, actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless hidden fees, prices, jumping out at checkout. You got to be careful where you get your tickets. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives me the advantage. It gives you the advantage as well. Back to the fans, it's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I'm going to use a simple example. I was just on the Gametime app right before the show. If you go and look up Gametime's app, just click in Florida State, go to Pittsburgh. They got several seats for under $100. If you don't get the tickets now, A, they're not going to be available, but B, they're well under $100. Get them now. Florida State is going to be a hot commodity again, and you can get those tickets on Gametime. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Gametime. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Gametime app today. Thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles a big part of your day, each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I am Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst, and this is a blast talking about Florida State football making their climb back up and headed towards top 10 status. Who knows where the Noles will be? We'll talk about that on Monday, but I'm really enjoying talking about the Noles kicking butt, and let's continue with that right now. I want to take out a part of the game that many would probably overlook. But again, the theme here is culture and physical dominance. Throughout the game, Florida State was just manhandling a team. They should, but it's the mental part of it that allowed it. And there's no better way at all to really look at it than when you put in reserves. How you practice, how you prepare your younger players, and how they buy into it, can't hide it when they're on the field. Can't hide it. Kevin Sperry hadn't played. He didn't just show up at Florida State yesterday, but he hadn't played. So there's really no telling what he's going to do, even against a team like East Texas A&M. Or maybe I'm selling them short because this is how it looks. Florida State had been physical all day, and they didn't change even though they put Jalen Lucas in the backfield. This is the complete drive, play-by-play, player that got the ball, and the result. Here we go. Jalen Lucas, play 1. Run to the left 4 yards. Play 2, Jalen Lucas, middle run, 3 yards. The next play, middle run again, first down, Noles, 3-yard run. Fourth play, Lucas, run to the right, 13 yards. Then on play 5, they throw it to him. He gets 5. Play 6, an incomplete pass to Boggs. They could have hit there. They were all these plays setting it up, all the culture. They missed on that one. They had a chance there, but they missed. Cam Davis on the next play, play 7, 11-yard run right up the gut. You're drawing him in again. After you throw deep, you draw him back in. Play 8, Sperry. He takes the call himself, the quarterback from the Noles, middle run for 5 yards. Play 9, Sperry again, middle run 18 yards. By the way, on that play, as an added, you could see the speed. Like he's got a burst, he's got a stride, he's got flexibility. That's a guy that's a true athlete. He could probably play H-back or something else. Play 10. The touchdown. Bootleg off a little bit of action to the running back. Rolls right. He's a right-hand quarterback. Makes it easy. Boggs is wide open. Repeat, wide open in the back of the end zone. 3-yard score. First touchdown of the career for Kevin Sperry. First touchdown for Jamin Boggs. But again, this is just a reiteration. This is the same thing that Tommy was doing earlier in the game. It's the same thing. But to see reserves doing it, and I know that, again, I fully grasp anybody that's saying, hey, this is East Texas A&M. I don't discount that. I know it's a much easier opponent. It's not Clemson. It's not Miami. I get it. But they were just confident in everything they did. Read the body language. Florida State is different this year. And again, I have no clue what they tripped to get going with that. They tripped a wire somewhere. The players turned on. It's like they hit the off button last year because they just weren't emotional. This year, emotionally, the intangibles playing for each other, all the way down to guys that are like third, fourth, fifth string, it's almost unheard of in today's college football world with the portal everywhere. Guys that are on third string are talking about where they're transferred to. Florida State had walk-ons playing hard. That is a culture change. That is a definition of how you kick the crap out of a team like this, but then carry it on because you're continuing to get better, building your culture to go beat teams in the ACC, and then you got the Gators at the end of the year, who, for the record, I'm going to have a long podcast about the Gators, not only on Locked On the Portal, because they're going to have a mass exodus there. I'm going to talk about them early this week, Monday or Tuesday. Make sure you check that out here on Locked On Seminoles. I'm going to do some in-state rankings, if you will. The Gators are not in a very good place. Billy Napier is toast. But to that point, Florida State has ascended because of all the little things that they did in the offseason. You got to give them credit. As much as I hammered Norvell last year, and rightfully so, I'm going to give him plenty of credit now. Gus was a good hire. Obviously, Tony White and that staff, there's nothing that you can really say about them. You're like, maybe we'll see, maybe long-term and all that. They've turned it around faster than anybody realistically thought. Physicality, culture, doing the little things, it's helped on both sides of the ball. But again, it's just incredible. So when we come back, I'm going to use a barometer here. So this will be a little more offense and defense, but we're going to talk about third down. Last year, third down made me cringe. And if you're a Florida State fan, you probably did too. But through 2 games, Florida State is absolutely, unequivocally the kind of team that really, there's no reason to believe that they're not a top 10, top 15 kind of team overall between offense and defense with their third down play. I'm going to explain next here on Locked On Seminoles. Quick question for all the Florida State fans out there. If you could go back in time and sit front row at your big game against the Gators, Miami, whatever it might be, what hat would you be wearing? Yes, I said hat. Now, not just Florida State hat, but they had all kinds of different ones. When I was growing up, there were all kinds of FSU hats. For me, it would be one of the hats from the game. These aren't just hats. They're the same vintage styles that fans wore back in the 80s and 90s. And trust me, they were really cool. And guess what? They still go for the same price as they did back then, when you could get hats for a normal price. So use code Locked On and you will get your vintage hat for $16.99. If you go to the mall right now, it's going to be $25 more, guaranteed. Head to thegamecaps.com. That is thegamecaps.com. Grab your team's classic favorite hat, whether it's Florida State or maybe you even want to go with something else just for having an extra hat. They've got it too. Circle that design. Use code Locked On for your exclusive discount, because legends wear the game. All right, let's talk about third downs for the Noles. Why were they so effective beyond the obvious just mismatch physically? What made them so efficient? And to that point, once again, I'm going to put up the stats here. Third downs were masterful. And we need to talk about this from a big box perspective of why Florida State can do things that they probably didn't remotely think they could do last year, but they got to be able to do better than what they were. Just by light years. But I still didn't expect it to be like this, so efficient, so consistent, so obvious. It's almost like some of Tom Osborne's teams from the 80s and 90s when they were playing inferior opponents, because everybody just played the same offense and defense every year. There was a cookie cutter, but Florida State inserted new offense and new defense. I don't know if I've ever seen this. So here we go. 12 third down attempts for East Texas. They only got 3 conversions. The Noles, 10 out of 14. That's 71.4%. A big part of that, as I've noted multiple times during the show today, Florida State was consistent, was sticking with the inside power runs, whether it was Tommy, whether it was Kevin, of course, it didn't matter. Did not matter. They were consistent with it, putting themselves in manageable downs and distances. Their average down to go on third was 5.2. So I'm actually kind of surprised it wasn't even better than that. A few penalties here and there, a few losses, etc. They got behind the sticks a few times. Everybody does. But they did not, repeat, they did not succumb to the notion, oh, we just got to pass more. We need to throw it all over the lot. Florida State was patient and consistent to give their quarterbacks plenty of options. It's RPO. If you show the wrong look in the desired plays of run, they'll throw. And Tommy did that. There were a few plays to deuce, etc., where he pulled and threw it because the coverage was light. Heck with it. We're going to let it rip. And that's cool. But that was all set up because of the run action. And their coordinator being like, they beat us over the top early. Now that the game's going on, I don't know what to do. They were yo-yoed. They'd come up real aggressive, and they'd back off. And when they did, Tommy made them pay. By the way, he was pretty accurate today. Tommy did a nice job. Well, I'll talk more about that here in a second. But I thought that he did a good job on early passing downs. If a shot play was there, he sure as heck wasn't afraid to go after it. And on top of that, more importantly, he didn't put the ball in harm's way. We talked about that a lot. He was 8 out of 11 for 237 yards, 3 touchdowns. His rating, this is college scale, but still, his passer rating was 343.7. That is insane. So Tommy was really accurate and not just deep ball or not just screen, but like trying to throw into windows. If he throws like that and they consistently continue to run the ball and get in manageable third downs, they're going to be a lot for any team. Miami, Florida, Clemson, Virginia Tech, I don't care which team is across from the Noles, they're going to be annoying. They're going to be really annoying. And I think that's a lot of fun because there is no limit to the possibilities because Gus's offense has so much motion, so much going on that disturbs the flow of what the defense sees. As long as Tommy is accurate, they're going to be able to throw 5 and 6 yard passes. But because it's going to be one-on-one, they're going to have to bring more and more guys into the box. Teams are going to do that. Receivers, if they can break that first tackle, like Deuce is 220, we expect that. But maybe it's B.J. Gibson, maybe it's Wayne McCoy, maybe it's Fryer. Whoever plays throughout this year, obviously Danzy has the speed. I mean, that's obvious. Jalen Lucas, etc. But you're getting Landon Thomas in a more fully able mode coming back. He played a little against East Texas. You're looking at a unit that's going to hit some really generic plays that go for very long yards. If he keeps throwing like this and the run game's going, because it's just going to be one DB over there. If that player misses, it's off to the races. These third downs, they may have a situation, they've got an RPO called. Tommy may pull it because backside, to the boundary, we got Deuce over here against a 5'10" corner. If they don't change out of this look, we're going up top. Or maybe we're just going to go quick slant. Whatever however they've got it designed. Now that guy in one-on-one coverage has got to bring down a 220-pound man that is very gifted and very motivated. Florida State is at the offensive smorgasbord. And now let's flip it to the defense for a second. They had some pretty cool angles on the TV today or from the game showing, like, here comes the play that, like, East Texas runs the ball in the middle. Every now and then they'd have a little bit of a hole. Their offensive line was actually okay for a few of the plays, but the way that Ashwin Barker and Earl Little just came into the hole, I'm like, this is what Florida State football is supposed to be. So you could tell from that, like we're talking about the run game setting up the pass. Well, stuffing the run game defensively also sets up the pass. The interception that Jerry Wilson had, like, look, he knew what he was doing. He's a film junkie. Norvell and Coach White and everybody have talked about that, Sertan, etc. But that's set up because they had to throw. Those safeties come into the box. The DB setting themselves up for good position on screens, containing the quarterback pretty well. They got some pretty decent athletes there. All that little stuff, though, is why Florida State held them to 3 out of 12. I don't care who you're playing, 3 out of 12. You'll take that. I don't care who it is. That's really, really good. And they were just playing behind the sticks. Florida State's culture and physicality. Again, all through this show, I said I was going to talk about it. It started there. And then the little things again. Everybody was held accountable, attention to detail, and whoever was hot, even on defense, they played more. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. So, which, matter of fact, I want to give a shout out here just for a couple of things, just to show how much depth. It's insane. It's rolling off my screen how many guys made the stat sheet. The leading tackler had 4. That's Barker and Cottrell. AJ got in the game, played some. Shout out to him. He played pretty well. That's because they rotated so much. These kind of stats, like the page, it's rolling off my computer screen that I'm looking at. It's insane. Blake Nicholson, KJ Kirkland, all these different guys, they had like 7, 8 guys come in, contribute, come in and out before they got a tackle. Shamar No had a nice play a few times. Ricky Knight got in the game. This is a deep, deep team. By the way, Amari played offense and defense. I love that. He got in on both sides. But Florida State is trying to build their depth, and I think that's very smart. And I also think that these third down numbers for like the defense are built off that. They're approaching this from a, hey, if you practice hard, did you come out and you show early on, we actually put you in the game, we'll put you back in, we'll let you do things. Nobody should have expected AJ to be this tied for the lead for tackles. He played well, so he got more playing time. Accountability, culture. Florida State proved it over and over again, pregame, during the game, now in the stats. This is what a major college football program looks like. It's awesome. And it's really a lot of fun. So thank you once again for coming in and checking us out today. This is why Florida State football is so renowned for this kind of effort. Doesn't mean it'll happen next week, in the week after, et cetera. You got to earn it every week, but that's what they're doing. If you're a Florida State fan, you should be ecstatic. And if you're a Florida State hater, and I know there's some Miami fans watching this, yes, Florida State is real. I don't think anybody really realistically saw this coming outside of people maybe in the football offices or in the locker room. But the proof's in the pudding. They have completely flipped it. It's one of the fastest flips. I'm trying to think of something to compare it to, but that I've ever seen. And Florida State football is going to be around for a long time to make it happen. They've really done something awesome. Speaking of making something really, really awesome, Florida State has done a great job, but you got to give Fire TV and Locked On something that's a big credit too. We've got our own college football kickoff show. It's another big moment for Locked On. Locked On and Fire TV have their Locked On kickoff show. It's the ultimate football preview every Thursday. Drake Toll, my guy from Locked On Big 12. He's got Gary Patterson on the show, 2-time AP Coach of the Year. And he's got former college star Jesse Holley on. It's all the Locked On experts for different games on Thursdays. So college football preview that you can see right here on Locked On. Just check it out on Fire TV channels, only on Fire TV. So thank you once again for checking out Locked On Seminoles. We will see you again soon. Everybody have a good one. We will talk to you again tomorrow.